Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily spiritual podcast that makes ancient wisdom relevant today. I'm your host, Raghunath, with co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York City, Kastubidas. Welcome to the show. This is episode 1355.
All right.
Good morning, Prabhu.
Good morning. You okay? What's going on? Pull it together, Raghu.
Anyway, we got Linda here spinning the dials. Miss Mara's still on vacation.
She sent
in
some
Africa.
photos.
She's sending me pictures of zebras every day.
Zebras.
She's like, you get all these fines. You know, like if you hit it in upstate New York, everybody hits deers by mistake. They run in front of motorcycles or cars, but they have a whole list. There's a fine if you hit a zebra. There's a fine if you hit a baboon.
Really?
That's what they're dealing with.
Okay. I saw her pictures of zebras. I also saw the elephants.
I know, pretty
including
amazing.
a baby elephant.
Yeah, it's sort of sweet.
I told her to
Linda, how are you?
I'm doing great, Prabhu. Thank you. Good to be here.
Announcements for us?
I do. I have some announcements.
Tell me.
We've got Bhakti Recovery Group meetings at 12:30 p.m., 1:30 p.m., and 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And then also Wisdom of the Sages is heading west, and we're holding a retreat in LA for LA Rath Yatra at Veda Yoga in Los Angeles. We've got a program Friday night, August 2nd, and then all day Saturday we'll have asana, kirtan, satsang classes, etc. It'll be a great time, and then we'll all celebrate together at the Rath Yatra on the 4th. So you can go to wisdomofthesages.com to register. Hope to see everybody there.
Sweet. Looking
Everyone on the West Coast, that's a great chance for us all to get together.
Yeah, but if you're going to that, put it on the message board. I'm curious. All right. You ready for a nugget, sir?
I'm ready. Who you got? What you got?
I got something good by your favorite Christian and mine. He might be my favorite Christian.
Really? More than St. Francis? Let's see. If you come to Sisi, that might change, Raghunath.
I've been to Assisi.
No, but if you come on this trip.
Okay.
See, that's like saying I've been to Vrindavan. Yeah, just because you've been there doesn't mean that it's been fully revealed to you. Right?
It has been.
We know people that
he welcomed me personally. He gave me a vision.
You lie, liar.
And I was like, St. Francis, I like it, but I'm gonna have to go with C.S. Lewis still as my favorite.
And Francis was like, "Please, my brother, go to C.S. Lewis.
Go to C.S. Lewis." He's like, "Look, I can levitate. Look, I can turn water into wine. I can give you a plate of spaghetti magically." C.S. Lewis.
That's
a cannoli,
how you understand
perhaps.
St. Francis.
Okay, you won me over with the cannoli.
All right.
Okay, here's what he says. I believe in Christianity as I believe that the sun has risen.
Oh, how so?
Not only because I see it, but because by it, I see everything else.
Acha.
It's almost like seeing with the lens of God. Seeing with the lens of God. Seeing with the lens or divine vision.
Right. Yeah, I think this speaks to the idea of whether empiric proof is necessary to have faith, reasonable faith, rational faith in God, right? Because, we don't need to see the sun to know that the sun's risen. We don't need the empiric proof of seeing the actual sun, because when we can see everything else by the grace of the sunlight, we understand that the sun's risen. And so similarly, although there may be no way, and this is part, there's so many interesting texts that we have, in the Bhakti tradition.
Yeah.
That speak to how God can't be perceived through the material senses. That there is such a thing as spiritual senses, senses that are capable of perceiving spirit, and they're kind of lying dormant within us. But when we see through the material eyes, we won't be able to see spirit, but to speak of to see God.
Hmm.
But what we can do is see through the text, these sacred texts, and when we see through them, we develop the faith. In other, it gives us a way of putting it all together. Oh, I get it. It all makes sense. When I put all these pieces together, I'm not this body. That makes sense. I'm a spark of spirit that has a different nature. That makes sense. That, my mind and senses have been programmed in ways that are not harmonious with my nature, and therefore I experience depression and boredom and anger and frustration and disappointment and so on. That makes sense. I got to get them under control, and then I can feel my nature underneath. That makes sense. There are laws of karma and time. That makes sense. There are these, the gunas. That makes sense. And ultimately, there's a designer behind it, and it has a benevolent kind of way of working. When you hear this all play out, it all makes sense. And then when you go through your life and see it through that lens, it all starts clicking, and you can see how that the more that I'm able to embrace it and live according to it, the more I evolve, the better person I become, the more capable I am of seeing truth, et cetera, et cetera. So through that, I see everything, right? It gives me a vision to see everything. And therefore that faith is rational and real, even though if you were to say to me, can you show me God? Or have you seen God yourself with your own eyes? Maybe not, but I'm seeing the world through this, and it's all making sense.
This reminds me of, did you ever read that thing by the Hungarian writer? I can't remember his name, but it was a very cool thing.
Hungarian writer?
I pulled it up.
Okay.
In a mother's womb. I'm gonna share this with you. In a
I
mother's womb,
remember this is a good one. Yeah.
This is a good one.
Who's the writer?
I don't know. It's some Hungarian writer. I'm not sure.
Okay. The womb. Yeah, I remember this.
In a mother's womb, there were two babies. One asked the other, "Do you believe in life after delivery?"
Right. Life after delivery.
The other replied, "Why, of course. There has to be something after delivery." "Nonsense," said the first. "There's no life after delivery. What kind of life would that be?" The second said, "I don't know, but there will be more light than there is here. Maybe we will walk with our legs and eat with our mouths. Maybe we will have other senses that we can't understand right now." The first replied, "That's absurd. Walking is impossible. And eating with our mouths? Ridiculous. The umbilical cord supplies nutrition.
That's the way it
everything
works.
that we need.
Yeah.
But the umbilical cord is so short. Life after delivery is to be logically excluded."
There you go.
The second insisted, "Well, I think there's something, and maybe it's different than it is here. Maybe we don't need this physical cord anymore." The first replied, "Nonsense. And moreover, if there is life, then why has no one ever come back from there?" Good one, huh? Delivery is the end of life. And in the after delivery, there is nothing but darkness and silence and oblivion. Delivery takes us nowhere. "Well, I don't know," said the second, "but certainly we will meet Mother when she will take care of us." This is a good one. The first replied, "Mother?
There is no mother.
You actually believe in Mother? That's laughable. If Mother exists, where is she now?" That is a great one, I think. Like they're actually surrounded by Mother.
Well, does it say that? But Mother is all around us.
The second said, yes. The second said, "She's all around us. We are surrounded by her. We are of her. It is in her that we live. Without her, this world would not exist at all." "Well, I don't see her," said the other. "So it is only logical that she does not exist." And the second said something very beautiful. She says, "Sometimes when you're in silence and you focus and you really listen, you can perceive her presence and you can hear her loving voice calling down from above." That is a great story, isn't it?
Beautiful. I thought it's great. I thought it was going to say, actually, you can hear her breathing or something like that too,
or hear her heartbeat or something.
Hear her heartbeat. Yeah, it would have been an interesting way to say it too.
This is the ultimate Fibonacci spiral right here. This is our relationship to God with our relationship to Mother in the womb. She's everywhere. She's surrounding us. She's feeding us, yet we still are, no, not here. It's like, come on.
I'm not sure what that has to do with the Fibonacci spiral, but
Well,
I'm
the
with you.
Fibonacci spiral means our relationship with God is the same as our relationship with the
You mean
mother.
macro,
They're
micro.
concentric. Yeah, that's the Fibonacci spiral. Macro, macro.
Is that what the
Concentric
Fibonacci
circles.
spiral is all about?
Yeah, it's everything is the same and it's
You're
spiraling
sure.
down, and even the
Okay.
tiniest section is perfectly mathematically the same.
Okay. Thank you for that, Raghunath. That was perfect. I think we read that once before on the show, but I really like that.
Oh, I thought I
But
read it.
it just clearly shows the fallacy and the logic. You know, I still it still like blows my mind how like these highly educated men can come up with such weak philosophy, some weak logic. Like there's no need for God because we have no proof of him, and we exist without that proof. Then there's no need for God, and therefore God doesn't exist. That you're not even thinking
Imagine if
logically.
you're saying that for a child in the womb. There's no need for
Yeah.
mother because we can't
Yes.
perceive him, so there's no need for mother.
Logically, it just doesn't make sense. And the fact that they embrace it, even though they're so intelligent, means there's something psychological going on here. There's some hesitancy to accept it on the psychological level. Maybe they just need to come to terms with that. You know?
There's a great phrase in the Bhagavad Gita, Maya Parityagya, meaning your intelligence, even your great intelligence, even your doctorate or your your PhD or your SAT score intelligence, it's been stolen by illusion.
Right.
You have that intelligence. You know
It's
how
there.
to like take apart a television.
The hardware
set and
is
put it
there.
back together.
The hardware is there to calculate.
But it's missing the essential. So it's been stolen by illusion. So therefore, that intelligence just gets you deeper and deeper in Maya. I've seen very, very smart people just ruin their life with bad choices. Very smart. And another thing about those very, very smart people, Kastuba, you're mentioning, is they won't even enter into the conversation about it. No, it's just like, no, that won't, that I'm not going to believe in your fairy tales.
She's all around us.
She's all around. Quiet your mind.
Listen. Is that
You
how
and
you
your
speak in a meditation
crystals.
class?
You and your crystals.
Quiet your mind. All right, Raghunath. I like that. I like that one. Thank you.
Yeah.
C.S. Lewis, Hungarian author. Thank you both.
Yeah.
All right.
Alrighty.
Ready?
Narayanam Omnam. Oh no.
Narayanam.
Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Madirayat. Before we start the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our merry means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloki Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome in the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksurun Midatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 11, Text 18 to 20.
Okay. Got a whole bunch of them here then, huh?
Yep.
So we're laying out the social responsibilities that we have according to our temporary mindsets, you could say, our temporary circumstances, right?
Yeah.
And how they all serve to kind of help the individual evolve, but also they serve to build a very cooperative society. Okay,
We'll get
Raghunath?
some dog analogies here. Ready?
Dog, okay.
In this time of emergency, we're talking about these emergencies, about when we should adopt another person's.
Yeah.
Just like during wartime. Okay, Raghu, you got a Boy Scout first aid merit badge. You're the doctor. You're the surgeon. I was like, me?
You're right. Do you have a merit badge in that?
I do have a
first
merit
aid?
badge for first aid. Matter of fact,
Is that knowledge kind of still with you?
not at all. Not at all.
You wouldn't know how to help a person if they like broke a
Well, I know
bone.
how to apply pressure. I can't remember how to get like snake
Applying pressure is
snake
one
venom
thing.
out of a snake venom out of a leg.
What if someone like broke their arm
Yeah,
while you're
I know some
hiking?
basic stuff.
Okay.
I know how to identify if it's broken. Anyway, I should probably take that course again. I should probably take a CPR course again. You know what? It would
I
probably
think
be
CPR
really
is
good.
we're squirreling off here.
Okay. I think everybody should have like become EMTs or at least know how to do the basic stuff.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Let's
That would
just
be a good thing to
keep
learn.
going. Let's keep going because right now I'm already squirreling to disasters.
Okay,
I'm already
well, we're
in
talking about
disaster mode.
emergencies. So
Okay. In times of emergency disasters, one may accept any of the various types of professions known as Rita, Amrita, Mrita, Amrita, and Satyanrita. But one should not at any time accept the profession of a dog.
what?
Oh, yes, all those professional dogs. The profession of Unchaishila, collecting grains from the field, is called Rita. Collecting without begging is called Amrita. Begging grains is called Mrita.
Okay.
Tilling the ground is called Pramrita. And trade is called Satyanrita. Engaging in the service of low-grade persons, however, is called Svavritti, the profession of the dogs. Specifically, brahmanas and kshatriyas should not engage in the low and abominable service of sudras. Brahmanas should be well acquainted with all Vedic knowledge, and kshatriyas should be well acquainted with the worship of demigods.
Okay.
Interesting.
It reminds me, not that this is exactly this.
Here goes Kastuba. Ready? Go.
It's not a squirrel because it's on point.
It is.
But like when we were kids, like teenagers,
yeah.
what would we do for a job that was what was the
Oh, I've had some grotesque jobs, man. I don't want to even go.
Really?
Me and Parmananda cleaned motel rooms when we were 16.
Really? Upstate or in Connecticut or something, or where?
Connecticut. What else did we do?
I'm just talking about.
I worked in kitchens and fast food joints. I delivered pizza.
I remember you worked at that place on Himsick.
I'm talking when I was really young. I've been working since I was like 7. I'm like Italian. I'm like, I was out hustling when I was like 6 years old.
Well, in any case,
yeah, I worked at burger joint kitchens. I worked at delivered
okay,
pizza
we're
at
gonna
Domino's.
it.
What more low grade jobs?
But it was common, like just among young people in the city at that time, to become a bicycle messenger, right?
Oh yeah,
it was
in our generation,
job.
when we were hanging out in the city, bike messenger, you did that. That was like the cool job.
Parmananda did it.
Parmananda did it.
It's great for guys that are in bands because it's the kind of thing you can just drop and pick up anytime you want. It's like
it's good exercise. New York City's
exercise. Flat. Yeah. So, but I remember the first job I got as a messenger. It was like the first or second day, and back then you had beepers, and you'd have to keep checking in with the dispatcher.
Beep.
Yeah, and I
go to a
checked in with the
payphone.
dispatcher, and he just started screaming his head off at me.
Why?
I don't even remember why, but I was just like, I just rode back to the dispatcher, handed him the beeper, said, "I'm done." It's like, I'm not going to tolerate this. Like, I'm not going to work for you. Like, if you're so unreasonable, you think I'm your dog and you can just like yell at me and, forget it, But I think here, it's giving this kind of gradation of dependence on another. It's one thing to just walk through the field and pick up the grains that the farmer that slip through the farmer's kind of like harvesting mechanism, and if you do that, you're really not dependent on anyone, as long as the farmer's like, yeah, whatever, you want to pick up some, but
tomatoes.
It doesn't, you're not indebted to anyone. You're not in the charge of anyone. You keep your independence in a sense. And then it goes up the line to more and more until where you're like working for an employer and you have to satisfy that employer. But still, you shouldn't work for a dog, or you shouldn't become a dog for someone that's really not qualified, and specifically the brahmanas and the kshatriyas, these very important spiritual and I'm looking for the right word. Political is really not the right word, but they're like, what kind of, what would we say for that type of leader? They're like the rulers,
Yeah.
I can't quite think of the right word, but we give that to politicians now. We give that role to politicians, but it's just really, the protectors of society is really what they are. Okay.
All right. Ready? All right.
Text 21.
Finish that. Okay.
Pull it together. You need Mary to like point it.
The symptoms of a brāhmaṇa. Help me, Linda. Come here. Help me. The symptoms of a brāhmaṇa are control of the mind, control of the senses, austerity and penance, cleanliness, satisfaction, forgiveness, simplicity, knowledge, mercy, truthfulness, and complete surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Looking for a tattoo, people? This could be it. Samo Dhammas Tapassocham is right out of the Bhagavad Gita.
Well, hey, Karuna knows it. Let's open it up.
Well, this isn't. It's not.
I know, but she'll quote the Gita verse, which is this
Okay.
is practically the same thing.
Okay, unmute our 10-year-old from Lebanon. Let's see what she can do. Karina, come on. And I want you to start quoting Monk to Monk too. Learn some quotes from that.
You don't have to learn quotes from
You
me.
should. Okay, Karina,
You there, Karuna?
you there, Karina? Oh, I gotta ask her to unmute. Do you know that verse? The qualities of a Brahmin?
Yeah.
Okay.
From Bhagavad Gita.
No, this is Bhagavatam.
Samo, you're
From
right.
Bhagavatam.
Samodamastapasaucham santu shakshantirajavam jnanam daya chitatmatvam satam cha brahmalakshanam. The symptoms of a Brahman are control of the mind, control of the senses, austerity and penance, cleanliness, satisfaction, forgiveness, simplicity, knowledge, mercy, truthfulness, and complete surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Oh,
Do you think she
perfect,
just read
Randy.
that, or do you think she memorized it?
I memorized it.
she
You really?
memorized
Because
it.
I was looking at your eyes. They look like they were fixed. That's at the.
No,
Don't lie to me. It's bad karma.
I can
See
promise
that?
in front of the deities right now.
And do you see that,
Okay.
Raghunath?
She promised in front of the
That
deities.
means
Don't
she's
lie to the
telling the
deities
truth.
either.
That means she's telling the truth. Thank you, Karuna. Karuna doesn't lie anyway, Raghunath.
Proud of you. Proud of you,
She's
Karuna.
innocent.
Sama Dhamma, right? So
Yeah.
control of the mind, the Sama. Control of the senses, Dhamma. Tapa, austerity.
Austerity.
Socham, they're clean, internally and externally. We tend to become, if we're fortunate, we're clean externally. Wake up, take a shower. But actually, there's got to be internal cleanliness. The mind can be clean or can be dirty. Shanti, they've got to be forgiveness.
No.
Being unagitated by anger, forgiveness. That's a big one because
What-
it keeps
what-
the mind clean.
Oh, Kshantir. Okay, but you skipped Santosha.
Santosha, satisfaction.
Yeah, contentment, right?
Well, I wonder how, it seems like that will come from forgiveness. That will come from control of the senses.
Well,
It
no.
seems like now I'm going to be
mean,
satisfied.
They
I
work
guess-
together. I see. That's why I think the word satisfaction here, the word contentment might be more
choice.
helpful for us because, yeah, in other words, it's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to be content without having the latest computer and the latest car. I'm going to be content with having 3 pairs of shoes instead of having 15 pairs of shoes. I'm going to be content. You just kind of discipline yourself to be content. Okay, I'm not going to allow my mind to drive me to try to achieve these things that I really don't need. From that, the mind settles. It's easier to forgive. It's harder to forgive when you feel like someone's competing for your pair of shoes or something like that, right?
Sure.
But when you're content with with your simple pair, then it'll be easier to forgive. It'll be easier to have a peaceful mind. It'll be easier to control the senses, etc. So I suppose they all work together.
I don't think I'm Santosh.
You're not content? What are you hankering for?
Well,
you
just
feel
little things that
need
just
to
get
be
under my
happy?
skin and just haunt me daily. Just like
Oh.
little things, stupid things.
Yeah, I think we all struggle with that.
Mara got a new car. She let her brother borrow it for
New
one
car.
day.
Hold it. When did she get a new car?
Well, her car that she has.
She's
and
had that for years now.
2 years maybe. But anyway, the point is, she let her brother borrow it for a day. It got he put a little ding in the door.
That would have
Huge
freaked
ding.
you out.
A little ding. And like she didn't say anything about it. He denies it. And I'm like,
Dude.
we got to look at this thing every day now. You got a brand new car. It's like everything's perfect about this car. And you got this little ding in the door. It's going to drive me insane. Every day that thing drives me insane.
Little dent in
And everyone's overlooking it. Everyone's real Santosh about it, except me.
It's getting under your skin.
It's under my skin right now.
Let it go, Raghunath. Why don't you have it fixed?
And I know. It's like, why get it fixed? I know. And it's one of those things.
A handy guy like you should know how to fix that
because
yourself.
I'm torn between being, just let it go. Just let it go.
All right.
And
Well, if getting it fixed is what's going to help you let it go, then get it fixed.
maybe, you know, I'm sure people like Linda would have that thing fixed in a second. Wouldn't like tolerate anything out of place.
Get one of those suction cups and I guess those are better for bigger dents, not
It's
little
bigger
dents.
dent. Such a minor dent, but it's a dent.
All right.
Anyway,
let it go.
I'm not Santosh. I get it.
Okay.
I'm gonna keep doing this thing until I get Santosh on y'all.
Okay. Santosha, then.
Santosha, mercy.
What mercy? What were you jumping ahead of? Santosha,
Simplicity. Arjavam.
Arjavam, simplicity.
Jnanam, knowledge.
Yeah.
Doya. That's the vegan cheese. Doya. Mercy.
Daya, mercy.
Daya.
Daya.
Achutam atmatvam. Accepting oneself as an eternal servant of the Lord.
I serve Achyuta. I give my life, my Atma.
Right. Satyam. Truthfulness.
Okay.
These are Brahma Lakshanam, the symptoms of a Brahmin.
All right. So this is
Not a Brahmin. I realized that.
this is what they cultivate. This is what the spiritual leaders have to cultivate. This is what the teachers. If you have a teacher, any teacher, they're supposed to be cultivating this, right? All of these qualities.
Yeah.
Boy, I had some crazy teachers when I was a kid. People, disturbing teachers, you know.
You've had some disturbing teachers?
Definitely. Some creepy people were our teachers, you know.
Not in Krishna consciousness.
No, I'm talking about in school.
High school? In high school?
In high school, middle school.
Had some great teachers.
But yeah, so here's the qualities that spiritual leader, that teacher is embracing, right?
Yeah.
Controlling the senses, performing a little austerity. It's healthy, you know, and some penance. Always remain very clean, you know.
Had some teachers that never bathed.
Yeah, there's like that, right?
The worst. Like,
yes, like, dude, everybody knows it.
Everybody.
Yeah, and you know that external cleanliness is important because it lends to internal cleanliness, internal peace of mind, and so on. Forgiveness, satisfaction, all of these beautiful qualities. Okay.
Yeah, they work together well.
They work together.
All right. Next verse. To be influential in battle.
Yes.
Unconquerable.
Ooh.
Patient. Challenging and charitable. To control the bodily necessities. To be forgiving. To be attached to the Brahminical nature. And to be always jolly and truthful. These are the symptoms of a Kshatriya.
That one
I didn't know
surprised
jolly
me.
and
Jolly,
I didn't
yeah.
know jolly was up there.
Yeah,
I can do that.
Well, you know, I think when it says patient, like in other words, we hear these things that we think commonly when we think of the warrior, right? This real, because again, let's really try to understand what the Kshatriya is. They're the people that are responsible for the management of the society, and they kind of capture that right rather than, they're not voted into office. They stand up and say, I will be the protector.
Right.
And people recognize that they have the power to do it, but it's constrained within these ethical guidelines. Right. And so we commonly think of them as this person that's influential in battle, you know, will stand up to the challenge, that is charitable as well. It's saying that they control their bodily necessities. They're going to need to be someone that's got, you know, self-discipline, strong self-discipline.
Right.
But then we hear patient, forgiving, jolly, attached to the Brahminical nature. It means they have an appreciation for that nature, and they recognize I don't have that so much myself, so I'm dependent on receiving counsel from someone that does have it, right? Because they're going to be more in touch with truth. They're going to have deeper insight. I appreciate that nature. But to be patient, jolly, forgiving, I think that's to temper their tendency towards violence, right? Because like we know people like my old friends. The whole crew had like they were into violence. Like
They were impatient.
they get a thrill. They get a thrill from violence.
They weren't Santosh.
Yeah, and so that's a very dangerous tendency. But as we were speaking about yesterday, though, it's not like you just root that out of someone's psychology. It's just maybe with age and so on that happens. But when that's a young man, rather than just try to shame that out of someone, what you do is you give them the ethical codes by which they can harness that to protect others rather than to hurt others. And so I think that's where one needs to be patient, right? I want to dole out my power right now and give me my friends were like that. When they got into Krishna consciousness,
We're really going to go down this dark. We're really going to go down this dark hole.
I'm not going to go too far down it, but my point is, they were just looking for the excuse to beat someone up that was like mistreating a devotee or something like that, right? They were just like eager to to use it. And so they need to be patient. They need to say, and you know what? They were trained, right? Those things from like the Panchatantra and so on. They teach like, here are the 4 different steps you go through to dealing with someone that's going to be a problem in your state, right? First, you can try to reason with them. Second, you can try to offer them something that will get them to change their mind. Third, you can do this. And last of all is the dunda, right? Is the stick, is actually like having to use physically force.
Threaten them, yeah.
Yeah, and so they need to be patient, to go through that process. Otherwise, they're going to be misusing that physical force, and it'll be bad for them. It'll be bad for
there is a psychology.
Society.
There's a psychology that you're not going to necessarily change psychology. You just have to harness that psychology.
Yes. Yeah, harness it for the good.
Harness it for good. It's just like in war. It's like a lot of people are not meant for war.
Yeah,
But
no doubt.
wars exist and wars happen. And you need a class of people who are like, all right, I'm going to face all this stuff.
And on both sides, they understand that the war is only between the warriors. They go far away from everyone else.
Yeah.
Right. And then one of the groups wins, and then the other citizens say, okay, now we accept your rule. But nobody goes and burns down their homes and bombs the innocent people and all of that. It's just like they're going to decide, they're going to step forward, and between themselves, they're going to decide who's going to rule. And they're going to fight that out themselves.
All right. Enough of you and your
friends. But we can understand here how a brāhmana, how the spiritual teacher could you could say discipline or guide the warrior by saying, because the warrior's like, we need to fight now, and the brāhmana says no, and then they would quote the verse just like Karuna did, and say, hey, where's your patience right now? We haven't gone through all the steps to see if we can avoid physical force in this. You got to slow down, be patient, and let's try to work this out other ways. And if in the end physical force is necessary, then we trust that you're ready to step up and do that. But we're not there yet. Be patient, right?
I will say it's one thing that I really did like about Krishna consciousness was the fact that Krishna is all attractive, and he attracts all different types of people. It's not just like, well, you go to a church, you think everyone's very nice and everybody's very calm and everybody's very
all kind of people.
You get a mixed bag of people because Krishna attracts everyone,
everybody,
and that and there are certain things you change when you start practicing bhakti, but there's certain things that are so deeply woven into what we are or our psychology that they don't change, but we just sort of refine them, or we harness them, or we use them in a better way.
Yes.
But we don't fake becoming
There's a wisdom
somebody
in
else.
that.
Ever meet people who became born again Christians and they're like, they completely almost like they've been brainwashed. I guess any religion people do this too. I guess even Krishna consciousness people do this too, but I feel like
You put on an external show of
you put an external show of
contentment and
spirituality.
peace of mind.
Yeah, it drives me crazy.
It drives me crazy. You're
I know.
you're so peaceful. It's driving me crazy.
Your peace. I want to kill your peace. All right, let's keep going.
Yes.
Being always devoted to the demigods, the spiritual master, and the supreme Lord Vishnu, endeavoring for advancement in dharma,
Mhm.
economic development, sense gratification, right? The dharma, artha, kama, believing in the words of the guru and the scripture, and always endeavoring with expertise in earning money. These are the symptoms of the Vaishya.
Let's go through that again. Read them again.
Okay.
They're always devoted
Being
to
always
the
devoted to the demigods, the spiritual master, and the supreme Lord. Okay, so you're understanding that your success is not just you being so clever,
right.
that actually there's higher beings reciprocating
Granting
your
you that success.
sacrifice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
And you
is the
need to make
opposite of
sacrifice.
This
in
is the
order-
opposite of what we call in America the self-made man. We don't believe anybody's self-made. Your endeavor is part of the work.
Yeah.
But also there's reciprocating forces of the universe and ultimately guru and God.
You know, I think when when it says devoted to the demigods too, the personified forms of all the blessings in life, right? The sun and the rain and all that, and wealth.
Lakshmi, Ganesh.
Lakshmi. Yeah,
Are
yeah.
you kidding?
Like,
Go to
Lakshmi, Ganesh.
go to 6th Street in New York City. Everyone's got Ganesh on their door.
Yeah. Worshiping.
Remove the obstacles of me getting rich.
And with all of the kind of rituals that one would perform, the different rites that one would do to satisfy the devs, they always have that charitable aspect for the business person, right? Then you're supposed to feed everyone. You're supposed to sit everyone down and feed them, or it won't be successful. Then you're meant to give charity, at the end of this, to all the brāhmaṇas.
You go to Korea, go to Japan, go to these places where they have the worship of demigods is there in every business.
Mm-hmm.
And it's public sometimes. They have a little altar set up. Go to Chinatown. There's a little altar set up where they're doing some religious work in hopes for a financial kickback. I'm not even complaining about it. I'm saying we don't even do that. We just think
it's a higher level than
it is a higher level.
Blind materialism, yeah. From the bhakti perspective, we denounce that idea.
But we appreciate
it.
But
we see it as a step up. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas Americans, to see that, they're like, look at this crazy thing they're doing in the corner of the shop.
It's actually a more refined way of seeing the world.
Ever do you see that in Chinatown? There's like a little altar in the corner of the store, and there's like a little cookie on it or something like that.
Little jade figurine.
Little jade figurines of some
a little
master.
A little fortune cookie.
Yeah.
All right.
By the way, I have full faith
in fortune cookies.
Yes. They always come true for me.
Okay.
Serious, man.
I don't know if that quite fits into our.
I think it does. I think God is all powerful.
Vedantic
God is all powerful and all knowing, and I feel like He gives me information.
I'm just talking about the method of epistemology as laid out in Vedanta. I'm not sure if that's consistent with it.
I believe that God is behind everything, and therefore that full faith allows the fortune.
That means everything
allows for me to pick the right fortune cookie.
That means everything.
If they throw 7 on a table, I will go right for the one that will speak to me.
All right.
I believe in the opening of books randomly to find out what you should do for the day, your lesson. I believe in that.
All right. Karuna doesn't know what a fortune cookie is. They don't have Chinese restaurants there in Lebanon. They do.
You know what a fortune cookie is?
What kind of cookie
do you have?
You crack it open and
sit there. You don't watch TV. You memorize slokas.
There's a little piece of
chant
paper
on
in
japa
there.
Beads. You learn harmonium. What kind of childhood are you doing over there in Lebanon?
That's the only one I know.
Never heard of Daffy Duck, probably, have you? Daffy Duck. Give me an answer, Karuna. Yes or no? She's like, no, the duck? Yeah, it's a type of duck. Type of duck.
Oh, there's a picture. Martine put up a little picture of a fortune cookie there for you, Karuna. You crack that thing open, there's a little slip of paper, and it tells your fortune or gives you some advice in life.
And incredibly accurate, like a Ouija board.
I will accept that it's just as accurate as a Ouija board.
Listen, it's not like I'm one of those guys who believes in the crazy 8 ball that you shake. I don't believe in that.
Are you sure?
Yeah, those are nonsense.
Okay.
Okay, let's continue with this. We're running out of time here.
Text 24.
Offering obeisances to the higher sections of society.
That rubs my
drives Americans crazy.
Ruffling my feathers.
The brāhmanas, the kshatriyas, the vaishyas. Being always very clean, being free from duplicity. These are good things. Serving one's master. Ooh. Performing sacrifice without uttering mantras.
Okay.
Not stealing.
Very
Always
important.
speaking the truth and giving all protection to the cows and Brahmins. These are the symptoms of a Sudra.
The business owners are always worried that their employees are stealing from them, aren't they?
Sure, for sure.
Oh, no worried. Oh, the pens are missing. Where's the stapler?
Bhakta Udi.
Where's Udi?
Bhakta Udi. Where's the flat screen TV, Bhakta Udi?
There are 10 Lara bars in the closet yesterday.
All right.
Yeah. So again, and I think we spoke about this yesterday. Yeah, they're offering obeisances to the higher sections. So they're higher because of their sacrifice that they're making, and because of their ingenuity, and because of their prowess, and because of their learning. There's a qualification for all of this, and you don't have it. That's going to be the rare people in society, the smaller percentage of people in society. And rather than showing our respect to the pop star or the athlete or the attractive person, the model or whatever, you show it to righteous people that are taking up big time responsibility. It's natural. It's important. It's civilized. It's refined.
How are we doing? 7:53. You want to keep going?
Keep going.
Did you read the purport on the Sudra one? Is pretty good. It is everyone's experience that workers or servants are generally accustomed to stealing.
You see?
Prabhupada would say everybody steals. All the workers steal. It's if they steal too much, that's when you got to worry.
Okay.
Did you steal? When you had a crappy job, did you steal?
I couldn't say that I never stole anything, but it was pretty insignificant.
Okay.
It was tiny. It was very, very small.
It was before cameras.
Yeah.
Now it's like they got cameras on you. A Sudra may attend. Okay. A first-class servant is one who does not steal. Here it is recommended that a first-class Sudra must remain very clean, does not steal or speak lies, and must always render service to his master. A Sudra may attend sacrifices and Vedic ritualistic ceremonies along with his master, but he should not utter the mantras. Interesting. For these may be uttered only by members of the higher sections of society.
It was a science, and it was
because
a serious
you can't
science.
just show up and chant. It's not like a Krishna Das concert. You know what I mean?
That's a whole nother thing. Our Sankirtan is a whole different way of approaching mantras, but it's not like the
mantras. Then you had to
chanting
earn
the Vedic
them.
mantras. Yeah.
You had to earn a mantra.
Apply them correctly.
Now we're like begging people, just chant. I'm busy. Like you had to work
just like
hard to get a mantra.
We don't let someone drive a car until they've gone through certain training and prove that they're going to be responsible about it.
And that's what it was with learning mantras.
It was far more serious.
Imagine if we were like, please drive a car. Please drive a car. Nah. To render service to the husband, to always be favorably disposed towards the husband, to be equally well disposed towards the husband's relatives and friends, and to follow the vows of the husband. These are the 4 principles to be followed by women, described as chaste.
Okay. Yeah, as I was reading this, and I suppose the next one, why don't you go ahead and read the next one, because this will ruffle the feathers a little bit more, I think.
Even more?
Potentially, yeah.
A chaste woman must dress nicely. This is like Dr. Laura Schlessenberg's, Dr. Laura Schlesinger's proper care and feeding of husbands. Okay. A chaste woman must dress nicely.
But I'll tell you something. It's not only women, but like when women are dressed nice, it does uplift the consciousness of people in general, doesn't it?
I think so.
I think it does.
But I'm mansplaining it. A chaste woman must dress nicely and decorate herself with golden ornaments for the pleasure of her husband.
It's good for everyone's mind, I think. It uplifts everyone's mind.
Let's hear it first, and then we'll let the feminist thing within us attack it.
Okay.
Always wearing clean and attractive garments. She should sweep and clean the household with water and other liquids like pine sol, so that the entire house is always pure and clean. She should collect the household paraphernalia and keep the house always aromatic with incense and flowers, and must be ready to execute the desire of her husband. Being modest and truthful, controlling her senses, and speaking sweet words, a chaste woman should engage in the service of her husband with love, according to time and circumstance.
Okay.
Start splaining.
You want me to? Here's how I see this.
How do you
That
see this?
all this whole chapter and the general, it seems to be the general trend of how texts like the Bhagavatam speak. These ancient texts is kind of they operate with the assumption that people are going to be righteous. Like they kind of they told us how a Sudra should behave. They told us how a Kshatriya should respond to a Brahmana. But should the Kshatriya be so submissive to the Brahmana? If the Brahmana is not qualified, if the Brahmana is not being fair, if the Brahmana, so they kind of like the default is that people are going to live up to their responsibilities. And these verses are in the context of like a seriously righteous and responsible husband that's taking on all responsibility and providing all care and all care, all protection, all shelter to a family.
Of course, they're general statements. These are general statements that have organized a society, just like we drive on the right side of the road, generally. But sometimes you're on a dirt road and it's a single lane road and you can't drive on the right hand side. These are general ideas. Like, for example, in the next verse, it speaks like, thus a chaste woman should engage with affection in service of her husband who is not fallen. So
there you go. Yeah.
This is a man who's doing the appropriate things of the head of the household.
Yeah.
We don't even say things like that anymore because it's before, basically speaking, women even worked. Women in the workplace, controlling the reproductive system, all these things. These are all like new things in society. This is a text from 5,000 years ago.
Yeah, I mean that is an interesting thing, right? In other words, if people in the past were to say, well, women in the future will be just as engaged in the workplace as men will be, and then they would say, okay, but what about like the pregnancy and caring for the children? Well, they will take pills to control that. And so that they don't become.
It almost sounds crazy, doesn't it? There'll be a pill so you won't have a baby.
Yeah.
You mean so you can enjoy your sense gratification without any,
but without any of the
consequence?
responsibility?
Without any. Yes. People will be into enjoying sense gratification without any consequence.
And we should be clear that although these texts are, they're kind of laying out a general path for people of different psychologies or genders. When we read the broader text, we see that it's not that they're saying that there's no exceptions or that a woman could not have a serious social occupation. And what to speak of when we apply it nowadays, like the way that Srila Prabhupada tried to apply this in the modern day, like when he came to America, he even wrote into the purports of his books, like, my godbrothers, many of them don't understand. They've never done what I've done, come to the Western world, seen the way people live, see that they have a whole different world, and you can't impose these things, or you'd never get to the essence. So I'm trying to give them bhakti. And he said, like here, like for instance, he would say boys and girls, they mix freely, right? Where in the Vedic and even the Indian society, that they didn't grow up that way. And he said, I can't just come here and impose this on them. I have to work with like where they're at and try to get to the essence. And that's largely what our challenge is today in taking these ancient texts.
And we can see how, because he did that, it benefits us. And we don't necessarily fit within those parameters. We don't necessarily have those.
As much as they'll help us achieve the goal. Yeah.
We don't necessarily have those high boundaries that Vedic culture puts in place, but still we're getting some benefit. And it's because Prabhupada could see that greater picture, go right with the essence and say, you know what? I'm just going to deal with what they have.
Meet them where they're at.
You want to bring, you're attached. People don't let dogs in the house. So Prabhupada said, okay, you bring your dog to the temple. You just tie him up outside. Then you come in, here, you want to carve a deity? Sure. But you're addicted to smoking. Well, you just stop smoking while you're carving the deity. You know what I mean?
Smoke
It
a
was
little less every day.
Smoke a little less every day. It was just sort of like he just tolerated it. He just tolerated it and just worked with it and just pushed the essence.
Yeah, and
And
then
that's
he
what we do.
gave,
And that's why
and
sometimes Indians or like these strict South Indian Brahmins, they have issue with us because they're saying, well, you're not following this rule. You're not following this rule. You're not following. These are details of rules to get to the essence.
two thoughts here, Raghunath, about this too.
Tell me.
If you read as we've read here, it seems to be making a hierarchy. There's Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. They're all done by males. Then there's the women who play the roles of housewives. And it's seeming like, okay, that's even a lower rung in society. But
Right.
Two things about that. One is Prabhupada actually gave the Brahminical initiation to women, so that puts them like right at the top, in one sense. Like that's how he interpreted it in the modern Western world. That's how he took these texts and applied them in the modern Western world. So that's one thing. And two, if we see these occupations as our value, then we may see it that way. But it's a fact that the reverence shown to a mother as the original, as our first guru in life, and so on, it's like tremendous. It's far less in the Western society than it is in the Eastern society, where like that role of the mother or the wife or that housewife is like it's shown like tremendous respect. At least that may have deteriorated in many ways, but you still see it in many places. You ever go to the general's place in Delhi? You know who I'm talking about? There's a woman, we call her the general.
The general?
Yeah, she's
It's 8:03 before we squirrel out to
Okay, well,
general
thanks
lady.
Okay, thanks for just killing any ability for me
Call
to
me
make
the
that
exterminator.
make this
You
story
got a squirrel?
enticing. We're out of time, by the way, but go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, we won't talk about
Linda. We'll come back to the general lady.
Brahmananda knows the general.
General. Okay.
Yeah.
Linda, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I've got some good takeaways for today.
All right.
Oh,
What you got?
enticing.
Okay. See the world through a spiritual lens and things make sense.
That's me.
You don't need to see it.
Let it go, let it go.
That was mine.
You don't need to see it to know it exists.
That's right. That's C.S. Lewis.
Yeah.
Train
One
yourself
for
to
me.
be content.
One for me. One for C.S. Lewis. Go on.
Train yourself to be content, and then it's easier to have a peaceful mind and control the senses.
Okay, very good.
Patience is important so we don't misuse power.
Oh, okay. Patience to harness to what's the word I'm looking for? When you it starts with the T. No, I can't think of it, but to temper. Patience to temper power.
Yes, absolutely. Because Krishna is all attractive, he attracts all kinds of people.
Okay. That's Raghu right there.
That's me.
Yes. Your endeavors are only part of the work. The rest is blessings of higher beings, Guru, and God.
That's a fact.
Respect should be for the righteous who are doing important work.
Respect the
Okay.
righteous.
And
Yeah. I got it.
warriors are jolly too.
Warriors are jolly too. Well, listen, everyone. Thanks, and have a wonderful 4th of July today.
We've heard we have heard of the Jolly Rancher, right?
That's a candy. That's all I know.
I know, but just the fact that they call it the Jolly Rancher must mean that he's out there riding a horse.
It's the 4th of July today. It's the day usually we declare independence, but as devotees of Lord Krishna, we say it is our dependence. This is our Dependence Day. We recognize our dependence on Lord Vishnu as the maintainer, as the controller, as our lover.
I didn't even realize it was the 4th of July.
Yeah, I know. Get in the spirit, Prabhu.
All right. You okay, Raghunath?
Yeah.
You seem a little tired.
You let me down. Not knowing it's the 4th. Big day today.
All right.
Actually, no, I'm not really. I'm into gardening today. That's what I'm doing for the 4th. Linda, what are you doing for the 4th?
Well, more of my family's coming into town. We're going over to my sister's house and gonna spend time together.
Oh,
Do
nice.
fireworks.
Wish you were here, but looking forward to seeing you for Bobby's retreat.
Yes, I'm
I
excited.
think that's
about
almost
that.
sold out too. Looking forward to
Yeah.
that. All right.
Yeah, her women's retreat.
Her women's retreat. I was like, so do you want me around or should I just go away? She's like, go away. I was like, all right, that's what we're doing. That's how we're.
Yeah.
I'm like, not invited. Okay. I was like, well, you want me to say anything? Lead a kirtan? She's like, nah, we're good. Like, this is sexist.
It's a women's retreat. Let them have their space. Yep. The Rogu freeze up.
It looks like it, yeah.
Ah, Rogu froze. All right. That's because he was trying to squeeze his way into women's places, and the Lord just froze him up like that. All right, everybody. Have a happy 4th of July. It's a beautiful day for a beautiful day. And we'll see you tomorrow at 7 o'clock, right?
7 a.m. tomorrow.
Let the magic flow.